Hello and good afternoon and welcome to Ensemble Conversations with me, Mark Kilmurry. I say good afternoon here, but we have Catherine Moore and Genevieve Hegney in different parts of Australia. So good morning, Catherine from Perth, and good morning, Jen from Queensland. Are you there? Hello.
Hello.
Now, Kath and Jen both wrote the very hysterical and hugely successful Unqualified a few years ago. They've written a sequel, which is a continuation of the story, still unqualified. We'll hear unqualified, I can't say it, unqualified. Unqualified, we'll hear an extract later, won't we? So, now, can you tell me, please, first, I know we've talked about this before, but as actors and writers, where did the spark of the idea come from, and why did you think, hey, I know, why don't we write this together? What happened? So maybe Jen, I remember you telling me before it was the spark of it was about a wedding.
Yes, we were at we were catering for a very good friend of mine that became a good friend of Kath's, and we were catering in, I think it was Raby. Way out west, and we were at a very, what could only be described lovingly as a bogan wedding, and a lot of things went on. The bride's veil got stepped on as she walked down the aisle. We arrived and there were sulo bins just full of, about 7 of them, just full of like garbage, and the door was hanging off the hinge, and I served sushi to people who didn't know what sushi was, or that wasabi was hot. And, just sort of when we thought things couldn't get worse, somebody star-spotted me from my time on Home and Away and got me to sign the back of the wedding certificate. And also Kath had to keep children down the side of a house. And after this terribly kind of it was really quite fun, but it was also, there was something demoralising in it. We left and did we actually eat something afterwards, Kath? Did we eat fish and chips? Or we went to the
local fish and chip. And Jen, it wasn't fun. It was actually a low point. I just want to correct. It was a real low point in both of our lives.
And we thought to ourselves, if this doesn't become a show, then really, what who are we? And so we have this idea about these people who do jobs all the time that they're not really, qualified to do. And it sprung out of that idea.
And Kath, just explain who these characters are that you both play, because you write it and you've performed it, who they are, and just a little bit about each character.
Well, they're chalk and cheese, really. And when we came up with these characters of Joanne and Felicity, what we were doing is essentially writing clowns for ourselves. Now, Genevieve is very angry at times, and it's very funny. And so that's her clown, and I tend to work best when I'm innocent and stupid. So we kind of started improvising using these people, and that's how the initial writing began. We would sit in Genevieve's apartment in Randwick years ago and improvise and record what we improvised, some of which ended up in the stage version. So, yes, it was just 2 very different people, strangers, someone who's incredibly optimistic and someone who's incredibly glass half empty. And what happens when you put these people together in situations that they can't handle.
So in the terms of the writing of it, when you got the idea and you thought, hello, let's try and do something with it. And then was the idea straight away, Jen, that you would improvise and record it and then write it afterwards?
Yes, that's certainly how it began. And then, so initially we would do improv. Sometimes we recorded them and sometimes we videoed them, and then we'd write from there. But then we would just, as we got more into the process, we now just write an improv at the same time.
Right.
Yeah, and it was really, it just fit. It was very easy from the very beginning. And now we've got to a point where we can discuss what we want to do, and maybe one of us will go out and write a scene because we know each other's voice now, and then the other one will look over it and edit it and say, that's not very funny, or this is a better idea. And we can now just sort of write remotely, which we have to because we're in different states.
Yes.
But it's always come from that kernel of improv.
In terms of there's the writing writers who write say the one who's on the keyboard tends to be doing the tapping, and the one who isn't pacing tends to come up with the ideas. Did that happen, or did you share those, Kath, very much between each other?
Listen, we share, but Catherine...
But Genevieve's very controlling.
I know. I was going to say that Catherine is a comedy savant.
Oh, no, don't compliment me.
Yes,
after
you
I just
are.
called-
She's I don't know if that's, I think that's okay to say.
Yeah.
She can be a savant. Catherine just has the funniest brain of any human person I've ever met in my entire life. And I know a lot of funny people. And sometimes she just gets these ideas and I think, oh, that's very inspiring. And then I might be inspired to write upon it. And I tend to be a colour as well. Catherine will go, is this funny? And I'll go, nah, mate. And then it's just gone. But she just has to keep coming up with hilarious things that I judge and throw to the side. Kind of like the character in a way.
Kind of like the character, but my objective when I'm working with Genevieve is not really coming up with good ideas. It's just to make her laugh. That's really all I'm thinking about. So that's kind of how it flows. But Genevieve is so incredibly intelligent. She's got a huge brain and she's fantastic at sorting out all story structure issues and, the balance, all that kind of stuff. So it's really...
It's really a team effort. Yeah, we really are.
Yeah.
But so you came together to write and improvise and tell a story of these characters becoming very unqualified for each job they choose to do. You didn't just write a play; you wrote a series.
Well, we initially had the idea for the series. And it was, and it's a long time ago, which it changed a lot, but the premise was there. And it was really you, Mr. Mark Kilmurry, a few years ago that said, would you ever think about it being a play? And we went, and we hadn't, had we, Kat? Yes, please.
No, we hadn't. Thank you. I was just going to say that the reason why I think we originally thought of it as a series is that we had so much material from our own lives. We had this huge list of jobs that we had done in between our acting gigs, and there was just so much material. It seemed to be an episodic opportunity. And so when you suggested that we write it for the stage, we had to kind of rethink this idea of it being like a 6-part thing to how do we tell a story arc? How do we kind of get Aristotelian about it? And how are we going to, what about the cast of 50? How are we going to handle that?
That was one of the funniest moments, Mark, was when you said, just get everything you like and put it together. And we did that. It was like 9 hours or something. And then you said, now, get rid of everybody else. And we went, pardon? You said, just what would it be if nobody else was in it? And I remember first we then had people off stage or their voices would come on or they'd be on a phone.
That's right.
And then you were like, now get rid of them, just all of them. And we were like, and every time, and this is what Kat's good at. Kat day to day is probably a bit more of a worry than me, I'd say. But in work, I just panic. And I'm like, we'll never do it. And Kat's like, we'll do it. I've got an idea. I've got an idea. So we're quite good at that. Like we save each other in that way. But it was so amazing that you asked us to do that, because then we really discovered this idea that we could inhabit the other characters, which was not necessarily what we thought we would ever do if we did that. Sure.
And it was realising that when you think about anything for television or film, it's visual, but theatre is about words. And so that day that we figured out that when they do the wedding, the backyard wedding, we realised that Felicity could come in and have a monologue in which she reported everything that had happened. Yes. Once we unlocked that, everything started to make more sense to us, how we were going to tell this story. We didn't have to see it, we could just talk about it.
Yes.
Which was what Mark had said again, wasn't it? He's like, just report more.
Yeah,
and then again I went, what does he mean,
saying?
report? What does he mean, report? And then Catherine went,
right.
I've got this. And then you came up with the washing the hands. Oh, it's all good, and it was hilarious. So I thought, we're okay.
Yes, and like you say, it's based in words, and the reportage is hilarious because, as an audience, our imagination do that the story for us. We can imagine what happened around the corner in the wedding, or whatever it is you're reporting on.
Yeah, or the actor relives it.
Relives it.
Like when Felicity got picked up by that 15-year-old, because I couldn't get around. We have to see that. How do we?
That's right. And so then Janine Watson, as our director, came on board. How was it then going? You've got the script, you've edited it down, you've created it then for the stage. What was it like then for the two of you going into rehearsal? Because now you're becoming the performing part of the relationship. And also with a director and with the idea of an opening night looming. Jen, how was that in the first days of rehearsal for you?
Look, it was actually okay. It changed a lot is what it did. And a lot of why it changed was Janine. I mean, Kath and I would feel when things were too long, and so we still had a bit of our writer brain on. But what was amazing about Janine is you could then take the writer hat off to just completely immerse yourself in character because you had this great eye. And Janine was just always very clear, as we were, but she kept her eye on us that we would never let the comedy, sell out the truth and the drama. Yes. Like, we were really clear that we wanted to touch people as well as make them laugh. And I feel like that's what Janine, that inspired idea, thank you, Mark Kilmurry, once again, did for us.
Yeah. We just felt we were so safe. We were in safe hands with Janine. And I feel like because I was living down in Wollongong at the time, and we would change so much in the day, and then I'd get on a train and I'd literally just re-edit all the way home in the train. So I kind of had writer brain in the evening. But when we were in the room, we just really enjoyed making Janine and Liz Arday, who was assisting, laugh.
And Beck Coulter.
And Beck Coulter. We just enjoyed making them laugh. And I think by the first week I'd already had one of those actors breakdowns where I got a bit method and I had a big cry, and everyone was like, why are you crying? And I was like, Felicity is just, everyone gangs up on her and she's the dumbest person in the room. It's so embarrassing. But that's how much freedom we had.
I think you also were very tired, Catherine, because you were driving back and forth, and you might have had two children.
Yeah, I think and at the time I was sleeping on their floor because night times were so terrible. And we had those days of matinees. Remember when I came and I went, I've had 1 hour's sleep, Jen. And we'd be like, what are we going to do?
We'd be like, I'd be like, I had 3 hours, and you'd always beat me.
It was such
a real cost.
But it was such a huge success. And then, of course, it went down fabulously, sold out. And then, of course, you're managing it then day to day, as you say, doing the performances. Did it change during the course of the season?
It's changed just before that preview where we were sitting in.
It changed when you came on and went, get rid of the last scene. Get rid of the last scene.
We don't need the last scene.
I can't remember.
You can't remember?
Mark.
We can.
Thank you, Mark.
Then we went to Bailey's and we were trying to rewrite this scene. I got a fish bone wedged in my throat.
That's right.
You did. And then we walked past and saw us and we're like,
we went on stage and pretty much winged that final section in Lotto Ball.
Yes, I do.
You were right. You were right,
absolutely right. You were right.
It was
terrifying.
But once we got into it, do you know what the greatest surprise for me was, I think, was that it affected people the way it did. Like, it's always great. Like, you knew the laughs were going to be there. And I think that we'd spent such a long time kind of, like in the old world, for 10 years on and off writing it and sort of talking to people about it and not kind of getting anywhere that I'd convinced myself that maybe it would only relate to people who were like us, like women in their, 30s or 40s. And I feel like that kind of first night where the whole audience went with us and we had like 17-year-old kids come after the show going, oh, I love you. And then like when a 70 or 80-year-old man would come up and have a cry about how much the friendship touched them, we just realised that actually it was universal, which was what we had hoped, but you never really know until you've got a real audience there.
Yes, it is. And that's what I think appealed to me when I read it, and I laughed ridiculously. Like you say, the laughs are there. But there's also this melancholy and this, it's very moving, but this idea of wanting to do something better with your life and not knowing how to. And then these two people, opposites attract, come together and try and make that work. And by the end, without giving away too many spoilers of those who haven't seen the first play, but when you get to your song, it's really moving. You're laughing, but you're also crying.
Yeah. And that's
somebody at the door.
Is that the cop? Is that
someone's at my quarantine door? Just hang on.
Do you want to get somebody?
Probably never happened. I just have to make sure it's not the police.
No.
Please continue. Talk amongst yourselves.
Please do. Live drama here on Ensemble Conversations. I wonder, it might be someone bringing tea service.
I've seen her balcony. She's got literally a tiny triangle, and the quadrangle in which she's allowed fresh air every day is this tiny little between buildings, so you can just look up and see the sky.
How funny! So those who don't, Jen is isolating because you've been filming. That's right, isn't it? You're in a hotel.
Well, I'm about to film.
About to film. Yeah, in Queensland.
Yes.
Was
and
this
it
tea
was
service?
just lunch.
Oh,
they
good.
drop lunch and knock on your door. But sometimes it's the police, so you have to answer.
Yes, of course. And now, just without giving away any spoilers for the next leg of the journey, you've written the sequel. Where does the sequel take place, and how is it different from the first play? As a big answer.
Look, we should have worked out something. It picks up. Doesn't it pick up like a few months after the end? How much long did we say?
It picks up about 3 or 4 months after.
Right.
Yeah. And what can we give it? What can we do? It's the same but different. It's the same but different, isn't it?
The jobs are a little bit trickier.
Right.
Yes, they've decided to go where the real money is at the end of the play. I say enough of the bottom feeder jobs. We need to go where the real money is. And of course,
we need to do jobs we're really unqualified to do.
Yes.
So the jobs, and there are different personal dilemmas. Let's just say that there are a few secrets that are revealed. So that what we didn't want to do is repeat the same story. And I think the strength about the first one is that these are strangers that form a friendship. But we didn't want to have to we needed to keep that friction, but we had to acknowledge that they'd evolved and grown as people. So essentially their relationship is the same. So what we did is we inserted a few secrets.
Yes, has a lot of secrets.
A few personal journeys,
Secrets and lies, yes. That's what I liked about it. It sort of
the
goes
stakes are raised. The
Yes.
stakes are kind of raised. Because the stakes of the first one were high because they didn't know each other and they didn't know if anything was going to work. And now they're a bit more comfortable in the jobs. The jobs are getting harder, but also all the other stakes, personal stakes around them are rising.
Yes, it seemed the first play was getting to know you between them, and this is getting to know who you really are. But each character seems to know more about the other character than that actual character knows about themselves.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's great. It's a great sequel, and it's not really a sequel. It stands alone too. So even if you haven't seen Unqualified, and there weren't many that didn't, but if you haven't, you can enjoy this very much as well. Shall we? You've got an extract for us. Just before you do the extract, I have to just say there's a language warning, I think, perhaps dotted throughout this.
But
just,
Felicity will do her best.
Just
to
a tiny bit.
out. Don't you worry.
But if you just would you like to just set up the pre-read and then go for it?
Yes, I'd like to say that this is the first scene of the actual. No, isn't it?
No, we've got a bit of a. Sorry, everyone. Let's just. Genevieve, we have a little bit of a recap. Remember, there's a tiny recap for those who hadn't seen it. A very fast-paced 2-page recap of Unqualified. Yes. And then we move into the time now.
Previously
correct.
on Unqualified. That's what it is.
Yes, it's like exactly. So I would have called that recap. But it's okay, Catherine.
I just wanted to clarify. Sorry, Jenny, sorry. See?
That's okay.
This is rehearsal, folks. This is rehearsal.
The first scene of the new play, and I'm going to be doing stage directions and playing Joanne, whereas Catherine will be doing sound effects.
So good luck, Genevieve.
Good luck with everybody.
Yes.
Okay.
Am I in a good spot? Do I need to go like that? Yeah. Okay, is everybody ready?
I'm ready. Are you ready, Catherine?
Ready, hang on.
Felicity and Joanne, lit only by candles, are assisting a screaming woman who's about to give birth. Today, they are being doulas. Ah! Lady, you have managed your pain for as long as I can cope with. You need to do the drugs.
She's having a natural birth, Joanne.
Felicity, that foot massage?
Ow!
Okay, can you keep it down? I'm trying to talk to my co-doula. Felicity, that foot massage is not doing anything. So if she just wants the needle in the spine thing, she should have it.
Uh-oh, she goes again.
Push. You need to push.
No. Don't push. You need to breathe your baby into the world. Do you want me to sing again?
Don't sing again.
Like that?
Don't.
Oh, sail away, sail
Nobody
away,
wants you to
sail
sing,
away
Felicity.
to the Orinoco flow.
Enough, Enya!
Ow! Wow. Well done, lady. Well done.
Felicity, can I talk to you in private for a sec?
Absolutely, Joanne. I think we all could do with a breather, don't you reckon? Now listen, remember the mantra I gave you? Women have died, but I won't be one of them.
Joanne and Felicity, head outside. We hear the sound of a medical trolley being banged into. Oh, shit. Oh, shit. That really hurt. Can't we turn the lights on in there?
No, Joanne. She's having a dark birth.
Oh, well, it's going on forever. Why don't we get one of those doctors to come in and cut it out?
No way. She didn't want that. As our doulas, as doulas, our job is to facilitate her wishes and be her cheerleaders.
I cannot condone what's going on in there, let alone barrack for it.
Well, this is not about you, Joanne. This is about... Do you remember her name?
I only met her once. I'm just calling her Lady.
Oh, fun. I was hoping you knew. Well, this is the most important day of that lady and theirs life. So what we need to follow her birth plan. What is going on in there? It's perfectly normal.
You don't know that? You've never delivered a baby before.
You're scared.
I'm not scared.
Yeah, you are. Now, my dad, Bruce Bacon, always says that fear is like a sinkhole. If you struggle to get out, you're going to get dirt in your eye. But if you let go of the edge, you might just get to China. Ow!
I can't go back in there.
We've got to get back in there. Women have died.
Joanne and Felicity, go back in there. Joanne hits the trolley. Oh, fuck.
Fiddlesticks. Women have died.
Fiddlesticks.
Women have died, but I won't be one of them.
I'm turning the light on. Oh, no, I'm turning the light off. Oh, God, for the love of God, give her the drugs.
It's too late for that, Joanne. Ow!
I don't feel good.
Oh, heads out.
Oh, I'm going to faint, Felicity. I'm going to faint.
Sail away.
Joanne faints.
Oh, doula down. Oh, look what you did, lady. It has a face.
And scene.
Very good. Thank you. Can you imagine being in that situation?
It's really hard to do, isn't it?
Very good. There are two people who have no idea what they... It's hard enough, isn't it, with complete experts while you're giving birth.
Really hard.
That's fantastic. And that's the launch of the new play in terms of the themes too, which is really interesting.
Oh, yeah, a little bit of a clue there.
Just in terms of playing with each other, those characters, they must become second nature in the way of how you respond to each other, because you've lived with them for so long and you know them so well. It seems it's like you can slip into them really easily, which is great to watch.
Oh well, thank you. It's such a joy.
Yeah,
it is really fun. But as I said, we wrote our clowns.
Yes.
I'm always saying when I'm teaching acting at Whopper, I'm always saying that everyone has a clown. They just need to figure out what that is and play from there. And yeah, I'm stupid and Genevieve's angry.
Well, as my husband likes to say, I'm like an angry Brené Brown. And like I like to say about Catherine, one day when I was walking down in was it at Bondi Junction, I think, and there was a lovely nun and she was collecting money. And Catherine said, "Oh, look, nuns, they're like ladybugs, aren't they? When you see them, it's good luck."
Well,
I do believe that. I'm not ashamed.
It must have been. It must have been. It was. Thank you both. Thank you so much for doing that. Just briefly, Kathy, you're in Perth. How's it been in Perth for this last awful year we've been through, just in terms of what it's been like in Western Australia?
Well, Mark, thank you for asking, but I feel like I really can't comment because it's not been awful.
No, right.
I mean, we've been incredibly fortunate here, and even when everyone went into lockdown, I'm sure it was hard teaching kids, and I was doing Zoom with people at Whopper, and that was a bit tricky. But really, we've been incredibly fortunate here, so I don't think I have a right to comment.
Yeah, good.
I mean,
I
think the only thing is we've become a bit complacent now that the borders are kind of shifting again. But no, we've been lucky.
Yeah, and Jen, in terms of isolating and taking the job, is that? I mean, you have to do it, but is that quite a nice thing to have time to yourself?
Do you know what? A bit of column A, a bit of column B, Mark.
Right.
I was so very lucky that I got a room that had a bit of balcony. I got a medical certificate, but they don't always work. And then I was so luckily star-spotted by the most sweet Constable Carly at the border, who said to me, "Oh my gosh, I love you from Doctor Doctor." And we had a great rapport, and I showed her the thing and I said, please, Constable Carly, let me have a room with a balcony. I was lucky enough to, it's tiny, but it means I can open the door. Yes. So I am, again, luckier than others. But I was the first couple of days was shaky, and it was immediately, I went, oh my gosh. Genuinely, the first thing I thought of, imagine those poor people who've been in detention, even in a hotel prison for that many years, because psychologically what it does, even in a few days, the idea you can't leave is quite frightening. And then I had to just really meditate on it and go, you know what, I'm a mum and I'm a working lady, and I can have this time to actually read a book and watch Schitt's Creek, which I hadn't watched all of, and I've been crying over the last few days. But also I'm lucky enough to be able to coach still from here.
Fantastic. Yes, of course.
Yeah, but it's been kind of full on. But again, I'm lucky in the situation, and I've got a lovely little job to do straight after. So at least I know it's all something.
Yeah, and writing together between states, that was interesting that you were able to manage that, because with this draft, that's what you were meeting occasionally, but mostly Zooming and Skyping.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
And again, I was scared of that, and Catherine went, "We'll be right," and we were, Catherine. So you're right again.
Your characters are blurring, aren't they? Starting to blur into your relationship. Kath and Jen, thank you so much. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. It's great to hear that extract.
Thank you, Mark, for everything.
I can't wait to see you together and all of us in a foyer at some point, hopefully at the opening of Unqualified 2 when it comes up soon, which will be coming up not next year but the year after. But so thank you so much for doing this morning, and
thank you.
We'll see you very soon.
Thank you, Mark. Bye, Jen.